It started with a scream that sliced through the quiet of Hawthorne Hall's laundry room. A sound too sharp, too human to be a prank. I remember the hum of the dryer stopping mid-cycle, the way the fluorescent lights flickered once, twice, and went dark. The hallway seemed to hold its breath. Noah's flashlight beam trembled over the concrete floor, tracing wet footprints that ended abruptly by the window. Riley whispered that the ghost was back. I told her ghosts don't leave footprints, but my voice shook anyway. The air smelled of detergent and cold metal, and somewhere behind the machines, something moved. That's when I knew the rumors weren't dying down. They were being fed. By morning, half the dorm had heard about the laundry room ghost. No one saw it, but everyone swore someone did. The story spread faster than smoke, twisting between whispers in the cafeteria and late-night chats in the group chat. I told myself it was nonsense. But when I opened my laundry bag, one of my shirts was missing, replaced by a note that read, "You shouldn't have been there." I didn't show anyone. Maybe because deep down, I was afraid it was meant for me. By the second night, we started mapping rumors like detectives. Who heard what from whom and where? Every version was different. Some said the ghost was a girl who vanished decades ago. Others swore she appeared in mirrors at 3 a.m., but what bothered me most wasn't the stories. It was how specific some of them were. Someone was feeding this, shaping the fear, and it wasn't random. That night, someone slipped another note under our door. "Stop asking questions." Riley laughed it off, until the lights flickered 3 times in perfect rhythm, the same pattern we saw in the laundry room. Noah said maybe it was a power issue, but his hands wouldn't stop shaking. I tried to convince myself it was all coincidence, but I couldn't ignore the feeling that the dorm itself was watching us. At 2:17 a.m., a loud bang jolted me awake. A door somewhere down the hall slammed again and again. I grabbed my phone flashlight and stepped into the corridor. Every door was closed except one, the old supply closet at the end. I swear I heard breathing inside, slow and uneven. But when I opened it, the air was still. Only dust, only silence. And on the wall, scratched faintly into the paint, Claire was here. By the next week, Hawthorne Hall felt like a sinking ship. Doors were left open, people packed bags at midnight, and even the Ross refused to patrol after dark. Someone had made a website for the Hawthorne ghost, posting grainy photos of shadows and half-seen faces. Riley found one showing the 3 of us in the laundry room, but none of us remembered anyone taking it. Noah tried tracing the upload, but it came from inside the dorm's Wi-Fi. Whoever was doing this didn't want to scare us away. They wanted to keep us looking. Rumors don't die quietly. They mutate. Now, people said the ghost could mimic voices, that she whispered your name when you were alone. One girl swore she heard her own laughter echo back in the showers. Riley joked about it, until it happened to her. We heard her scream from the bathroom, ran in and found nothing but her phone flashlight spinning slowly on the wet tile. She said she'd heard me calling her name, but I was in the common room. That's when we stopped laughing. We started keeping a log. Every sound, every note, every flicker of the lights, patterns emerged. Every incident happened near the east wing, the oldest part of the dorm, where the walls still smelled faintly of paint and mold. Noah said the building's wiring was ancient, but he didn't have an answer for the voices. Riley taped a camera to the hallway corner. When we checked the footage, there was nothing at first, until a faint outline appeared on frame 37. A figure watching us from the dark. By Friday, students were leaving in groups. Luggage rolled across the halls like a funeral procession. The campus board finally locked the east wing, but that didn't stop the stories. Someone said the ghost's real name was Claire, the same name scratched into the wall. Riley found old dorm records and froze when she saw the photo. A girl with pale hair and tired eyes. The signature at the bottom read, Marin Ellis. Roommate. That night, I dreamed of the supply closet again. Only this time, the words Claire was here were still wet, dripping like blood. When I woke, I smelled smoke. The hallway alarm blared, and doors flew open as students panicked. But there was no fire, no smoke, just the sprinklers pouring water everywhere. On the wall across from our door, someone had written a single line in red marker. She never left. By the time the sprinklers dried, Hawthorne Hall was a ghost town. Only a few of us stayed. The ones who couldn't walk away from unanswered questions. Riley said we needed to talk to Marin. No one had seen her since the night the alarms went off. Noah found her class schedule pinned to a bulletin board, and her name was crossed out. She withdrew mid-semester, he whispered. The hallway felt heavier after that, like the walls had absorbed her silence. We tracked down an old resident assistant, a senior who'd lived here when Claire disappeared. He said Claire and Marin were inseparable until the week before the accident. Then something happened. He didn't say what. Just that Claire stopped talking to anyone and that Marin was found crying outside the laundry room the night she vanished. When he mentioned the laundry room, I felt my stomach drop. We weren't chasing ghosts. We were retracing someone's pain. Back in the dorm, I found an old message board tucked behind the filing cabinet. Anonymous posts from years ago. One line kept repeating under different usernames. She's still here. Noah Cross referenced the IP addresses, and everyone traced back to the same dorm room. Moran's. Riley joked that maybe Moran really did summon something, but deep down, we all knew. The ghost wasn't haunting us. She was haunting Marin. That evening, we finally opened Marin's old dorm room. The air smelled like dust and lavender. Untouched, sealed off. Photos lined the wall. Snapshots of Claire and Marin laughing. Studying, existing. But in the last photo, Claire's face was torn out. A small tape recorder sat on the desk. Noah pressed play. Static hissed. Then a voice whispered, "I didn't mean to hurt her." Riley covered her mouth. I felt cold all over. We sat in silence after the recording ended, the sound of the rain filling the room. Riley finally spoke. What if this was never about a ghost? What if it's just someone trying to make us see her? The realization hit hard. Every whisper, every note, every flicker, all carefully placed breadcrumbs. Someone was begging to be noticed. And maybe, in a twisted way, she already had been. We decided to stay up that night. All of us. Riley called it our stakeout. But her jokes didn't land anymore. The wind howled through the gaps in the windows, rattling the vents that ran through the east wing. We set up cameras, left a voice recorder in the hallway, and waited. The storm outside mirrored the tension between us. Every creak felt like footsteps. Every gust like a breath against the back of my neck. At 2:43 a.m., the lights went out. The hallway was pitch black except for the dim emergency lights. We heard the recorder crackle, then static, then a voice. It was faint, fragile, almost pleading. "Lena." My heart stopped. Noah whispered, "Playback interference." Riley didn't say anything. The voice came again. Softer, closer. "Please don't go." We froze. Then a door slammed down the hall. Riley ran ahead first. I told her to wait, but she didn't listen. The door at the end led to the old study room, abandoned since the flood last year. Inside, we found a single candle burning on the table and words scribbled across the chalkboard. "Don't forget her." Noah whispered that the handwriting matched the notes we'd found earlier. The power flickered again, and for half a second I thought I saw someone standing behind Riley. But when the lights came back, there was only her reflection. When the lights finally returned, we saw something taped to the wall. A photo of Claire and Marin smiling outside the dorm. On the back was a date, October 17, the night Claire disappeared. Noah checked the camera feeds. Every single one had stopped recording at exactly 2:43 a.m., the same time the power went out. But one file survived. A grainy clip showing the study room door opening by itself. Then, faintly, a whisper, "She's still here." I couldn't sleep after that. I walked back to the supply closet where it all started. The walls were damp, the air stale. The words "Claire was here" had started to fade. For a moment I thought I heard crying, not distant, but close, like someone hiding right behind the door. I pushed it open, heart racing. There was no one inside, but a phone lay on the floor, screen cracked, still recording. The last timestamp, 2:43 a.m. The next morning, the dorm was silent except for dripping pipes. Riley slept with the light on, and Noah hadn't said a word since replaying the recording. I couldn't stop thinking about that timestamp. 2:43 a.m. Every clue led back to Marin. I asked around and found out she'd been staying off campus at her aunt's house since her withdrawal. I told Noah and Riley we needed to find her. Riley said I was crazy. Maybe I was, but if Marin knew the truth, I wasn't letting her hide from it anymore. We took a bus to the edge of town. Marin's aunt lived in a narrow white house that leaned slightly with age. When she opened the door, Marin looked smaller than I remembered. Pale, quiet, like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't seem surprised to see us. "You heard her too, didn't you?" she asked softly. For a moment, no one spoke. Then she added, "I wasn't trying to scare anyone. I just wanted someone to remember her." Marin told us everything. The night Claire vanished, they'd argued. Marin accused her of cheating on a paper. Claire called her jealous. Claire stormed out during the storm and never came back. The guilt tore Marin apart. When the rumors started, she didn't stop them. She built them. She wanted people to talk about Claire again, to keep her name alive. If the dorm was haunted, she said, then she'd never be forgotten. Riley started crying quietly. Noah just stared at the floor. Marin handed me an old notebook, Claire's journal. Inside were fragments of poems, study notes, and one page dated the night she disappeared. It said, "I'm tired of being invisible. Maybe if I disappear, they'll finally see me." My throat tightened as I read it. Marin said she found the notebook after the police left and couldn't forgive herself. The haunting was the only way I could make her real again. I wanted to hate her, but instead, I just felt sorry. Before we left, Marin walked us to the door. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she whispered. "I just couldn't stand the silence." She pressed a flash drive into Noah's hand. "Everything I made. The recordings, the photos. End it, please." As we stepped into the rain, I looked back. Marin stood in the doorway, framed by the light of her house. She looked like someone finally letting go of a ghost she'd been keeping alive too long. Back at Hawthorne Hall, the silence felt different. Not haunted anymore, just hollow. Noah spent the weekend combing through the flash drive. Hundreds of sound files. Whispers Marin recorded herself through the vents. Timed light flickers connected to the breaker box. Even the photograph leaks, staged, layered with grain and blur. She had built an entire ghost out of guilt. Riley said we should post everything. Let people know the truth. For once, I agreed. The next night, we gathered everyone left in the dorm into the common room. Faces I barely recognized stared back. Tired, scared, hopeful. Noah played the recordings, explaining how Marin rigged the dorm to sound alive. Gasps filled the room as the truth unfolded, the fear dissolving into something quieter. Riley stood up and said, "It wasn't a ghost, it was grief." No one spoke for a long time after that. After everyone left, I sat alone in the hallway where it all began. The scratches on the wall were still faintly visible. Claire was here. For the first time, I didn't feel afraid of them. They weren't a warning. They were a memorial. I ran my fingers over the letters and whispered, "We remember." Somewhere in the pipes, water moved softly, almost like an exhale. Later, Noah uploaded everything. The recordings, photos, and Marin's confession onto the campus forum. By morning, the posts had gone viral across the college. Comments poured in, people apologizing, others sharing stories about loss. Riley said it was like the dorm finally exhaled. For once, Hawthorne Hall wasn't a story of fear. It was a story of forgiveness. That evening, we stood outside Hawthorne Hall as the sun set behind the pines. The dorm windows glowed softly, like the building itself was breathing again. Riley said she'd never sleep there again. Noah just smiled and said, "Maybe now we can." I looked back one last time at the dark windows, and for a second, I swore I saw two girls standing side by side, laughing in the reflection. Maybe that's all ghosts ever are. Memories that finally found peace. The week after we posted Marin's story, the campus moved on. Classes resumed, laughter returned to the halls, and the ghost jokes faded into background noise. But for us, something had changed. Riley started painting again. Noah volunteered at the Student Help Center. And me? I kept hearing the dorm's silence differently now. Not empty, but full of what used to be. Every creak in the floor sounded like memory, not menace. Marin never came back to Hawthorne Hall, but she emailed us once, a single line. "Thank you for setting her free." I didn't reply. Some things don't need words. Riley said she dreamed about Claire, standing in the laundry room smiling. Noah said dreams were just how the brain made peace with what it couldn't fix. I think maybe he was right. But still, when I passed that hallway, I always look twice. At the memorial bench behind the dorm, someone left flowers, white lilies, still dewy with rain. No one knew who placed them there, but we didn't need to ask. Maybe Marin came by one last time. Maybe the dorm itself remembered. I sat there for a while, listening to the breeze move through the trees, and thought about how a rumor can grow into a story, and how stories can become forgiveness. That night I dreamed of the laundry room again, but this time it was bright. The machines hummed gently, the air warm with sunlight instead of fear. Claire stood by the window, her face calm, almost happy. She didn't speak. She just nodded once, as if to say, "It's over." When I woke up, I felt lighter. Not everything needs proof. Some things just need peace. Weeks later, as graduation neared, I stood outside Hawthorne Hall one last time. The windows were open, curtains moving with the wind. The campus was alive again. I thought about how fear, once named, loses its power, and how sometimes ghosts aren't trapped souls. They're stories waiting to be told, right? I smiled and whispered, "Goodbye, Claire." Then I turned and walked toward the sunrise.